Hi there, this is Al, and in this video we're talking about the Jellicent in the room. What do I mean by that? Well, this card is coming to shake up the meta. This is coming in Black Bolt White Flare. It's going to be great Guardy support. It's going to be probably seen and toyed around with in the format while it's around because it has a crazy ability and an annoying ability. But we're going to talk about it. So this video is going to be looking at this card, and although most of the use of this might be with Gardevoir, we're actually going to be looking at the rare Jellicent only attacking decks, including the winning deck from, some champion tournaments in Japan. We're going to go over stuff, we're going to look at gameplay as well, and hopefully we're going to learn more about Jellicent and, some play strategies and things around it, how it works and stuff. It's going to be really fun, so hope you can stick around. Alright. Let's go ahead and look at this Jellicent card. 270 HP Psychic Pokemon with the ability Sea Curse. As long as this Pokemon is in the active spot, your opponent can't play any item cards or attach any Pokemon tool cards from their hand. Very annoying, very annoying. So in the TCG, we have tons of item cards, of course, and you want to use those item cards. Item lock is annoying. Badoo does that, and it spreads pollen everywhere with its Itchy Pollen attack, and it's quite the disruptor. Now, this is item lock along with not being able to play tools, well, not being able to attach the tools. I believe with this wording and everything, you can still, the tools don't lose function, you just can't attach them from your hand while that thing is in the active. And while it's in the active, what can it do? It can attack for 1 Psychic, 1 Colorless, doing Power Press for 80, but if this Pokemon has at least 2 extra energy attached, in addition to this attack's cost, this attack does 80 more damage. So it's doing 160, and the power isn't like 160's, KOing everything. It's not like that. It's that this powerful beast is going to be in the active spot, can do damage, and that's a very easy condition to meet with the right Pokemon, namely Gardevoir. Don't you love more Gardevoir support? Don't we all? Well, Jellicent EX, once it was revealed, and even now and stuff, really, it's good support for Gardevoir EX. The Psychic Embrace ability is really nice with this because you can just accelerate the extra 2 energy needed very fast. But it's not all Gardevoir. I'm sure we'll talk about the Gardevoir Jellicent eventually, but in this video, it's more Jellicent solo focused. So Japan has had their competitions with the Victini Battle promo. Now, in the West, we don't have many of these events where you win promo cards, like exclusive things and stuff like that. So to win these tournaments, they're kind of like sealed tournaments, to where you can only really use the Pokemon from the Black-White set, the Black Bolt White Flare set, and so you get funky decks like this winning deck that is actually pretty solid on its own. This winning deck was utilizing Jellicent EX as an attacker, as well as Zoroark. I almost said Zoroark EX. It's not. It's the new Zoroark from the new set we will take a look at. So very interesting. All right, what have we got in here? We have 4 Jellicent, 4 Frillish, we have the Zoroark Zorua, we have 4 Crushing Hammers to be annoying. That Crushing Hammer is from Scarlet Violet Base, I believe, and we can actually just use that to flip a coin, and then if there's heads, you get to take away an energy from your opponent's Pokemon and stuff. Then we can use, there's Clown in this list. Like I said, we don't normally use Clown, and we don't normally use Charon as supporters, but in a sealed event like this, a limited event, it makes sense to put in the deck. We have switch cards to use, we have an Air Balloon, we have 4 Ignition Energy, 4 Hilda, love to see it. She finds your evolution Pokemon and your special energy, and Ignition Energy helps so much because these are evolution Pokemon who are going to be attacking. So let's look at that Zoroark specifically more in detail. This is coming in the set, it's got 120 HP, it's a single prize Pokemon. Mind Jack is its first attack for 1 Dark Energy, doing 30 times. It does 30 damage for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. And then Foul Play, it is similar to how it is in the games, shapeshifting a little bit. Using 3 colorless energy, you can choose one of your opponent's active Pokemon's attacks and use it as this attack. This can be very powerful. And, sometimes it's hard to find those 3 energy requirements attached onto it, but with Ignition Energy, it's easy. even though you have to discard Ignition Energy at the end of the turn, that's still really awesome, just being able to do it. And the way you can do it is through using Hilda to also find it, and it's an evolution Pokemon. The Ignition Energy works with evolution Pokemon. Since Zoroark is an evolution Pokemon, it works with that, and it works really well, and it worked awesome in this deck. So early game, you also have to watch out for the sneaky little Frillish here, because Frillish, even in the meta and stuff, I'm sure when it comes out, it's going to be something to keep an eye out for as turns are being set up, because it has the attack See Shadows. For 1 Psychic Energy, during your opponent's next turn, they can't play any item cards from their hand. So that is a sneaky other annoyance, let's say, around Jellicent. Now, that's the basic structure of the deck. Here's the basic deck list, and then now I want to switch into some gameplay to kind of show off this deck functioning, and then I think in showing that, hopefully that can help show a bit more about how Jellicent EX might be functioning, or how things are in the meta, and how this new Zoroark might play out. It's gonna be really fun, so hopefully you enjoy it. Let's go ahead with this battle. We've got here the power of Jellicent EX against Cetitan. So although this deck list is from a sealed event where you're primarily just using the new black and white cards, it's going to be against Cetitan. And we're just going to really see, though, how this Zoroark and this Jellicent functions. So it's going to start and begin on the Cetitan side, getting our whales out. Gonna need to get these guys. If you haven't seen the Cetitan, he's got a cool, a move that he can use doing 140 damage and then 140 more if you have a stadium to discard, ending that turn there, and then going on with 2 Zorua already on this side. Now, these little guys, like I said, are easy to kind of get power up and go for it. I think right here we have a lot of funky supporters in this deck because, like I said, it being a sealed tournament makes sense to have things like Sharon in your deck. Normally you're not going to have trainers like Sharon because there's better things to play, but in a limited format, that's what we can get some funky decks looking like. Now, just using Artisan to get Frillish out here. And like I said, going second, I don't think we reach for the Frillish attack, but the Frillish... Maybe we do. No, because, yeah, we attach to Zorua. The Frillish attack turn 1, item lock is real. There's another one, and we can go ahead after using Charon, and we can go ahead with the attack. Zorua does do 30, but he does 10 to himself because he's doing takedown, which means he has to take some damage himself, but just kind of getting some damage out there over already. Anyway, on the other side here, we have the whales, and Cetata's pretty chunky as a basic. It's a huge whale, 100 HP, but a 3 retreat cost. Now you can see the Excalibur is in the deck, trying to prioritize stuff, getting this off of the Artisan. Artisan very helpful for both sides, of course, in the early game. There's Varoom, here's Arvin. Arvin getting played and taking advantage of, no item lock, no tool restriction because there's no Jellicent. So let's take advantage of that, why don't we? And then we can go ahead and just kind of aim for, I think, eyeing up, one of our tools is going to be probably the Heavy Baton. Heavy Baton in this deck, if your Pokemon has a retreat cost of 4, you can use it in order to distribute energy onto other bench Pokemon when your Pokemon gets KO'd. We're going to go ahead with Ultra Ball here. Now, important thing with the tool, though, the baton, gotta get that thing attached before the Jellicent comes out, because the Jellicent will stop you from doing it from hand. Anyway, with the Ultra Ball, we get Cetitan, and we go ahead and evolve into this huge 300 HP whale. We attach the baton, and then we pass off to the other side. No Jellicent, no disruption just yet. But on the other side, what can we do? We have Crushing Hammer. That was we're gonna go ahead with Hilda, as well as the supporter. So really good supporter, fighting an evolution Pokemon and a special energy card. So we're going to be able to get our Ignition Energy and our Zoroark, and we're actually going to be able to do a deadly KO here. What was it? What was it called? I forget its name, but its other attack where it can use the 4-3 energy, the attack of your opponent's active, one of them. So just double checking on that thing to be able to use it. And yeah, if we just do that with Ignition Energy, we can go ahead and discard the stadium. We're doing 280 damage. 280 damage plus the 3 that was already on Cetitan is the KO for 2 prize cards. Very nice. Now on the other side, it's not good. With the baton, we are able to distribute that water energy from the Cetitan, the dead Cetitan, onto our Cetotl, and then we draw. We can attach, but there's like not much to work with here, as you can see. We're gonna go ahead and Iono. Both players shuffle their hand, put it at the bottom of the deck. We get 6 cards on the Cetitan side and only 4 on the side of the other. Now, on this, yeah, it's gonna be... We have another stadium, but like... Do we want to feed it over there? Let's tap, tap, tap. My goodness. And then we need to get like some more our guys up, our Revavroom, our Frigivax into that. See, yeah, tapping things around because it was not quite too easy too. So just deciding to keep Cetotl in the active. Looks like we also are able to do some damage, and then we also take damage ourselves with its attack. Oh boy. But here's another Zoroark coming into fruition. We also have Jellicent now here. Now, Jellicent, of course, has to be in the active to do its, like, disruption chaos, but that could be happening eventually. Right now, though, we're going to go ahead with another Hilda card, going for Jellicent EX as the evolution Pokemon, and then some more Ignition Energy. I think keeping Cetotl in the active, it was kind of a thing of, like, hoping that there's no Hilda to be gotten, but Hilda was gotten. Here's Crushing Hammer, flipping a coin, and you can disrupt and take an energy away, but that was a Tails. And then we're attaching a Psychic onto Jellicent. That's very important. And then we're going to be using Zoroark, its attack, its first move, doing 30 for each bench Pokemon. There's only 2, so we can only do 60 damage. But yeah, important that we got that tool, or that energy on Jellicent as well. Like I said, for this, because you do need that Psychic to use its move, and then some more energy. But anyway, on this Cetitan turn, what can we do? Well, like I said, Jellicent is not in the active yet, so we can find items with Arven. One item, one tool, of course. And we're just kind of looking through. There is a Night Stretcher to be grabbed. It'd be good to evolve into Cetitan again. Here we're using Artisan to get another Frigivax. The development is not all there, which is unfortunate. But we can go ahead and, yeah, it's kind of tricky. Here's Night Stretcher for Cetotl. I guess just having access to only those 2, and so deciding to not go for the Cetitan on the other end and just go for setting up our other Cetotl and then having a baton on the other one. Once again, baton being able to be attached because Jellicent's not in the active. But as we see on the other side, yeah, we can just we can hit for hard damage, of course, but deciding to go with using Jellicent as the attacker and getting that thing up there as well. Now, with Jellicent now attacking, it has the extra energy, which means it can hit past 80. It can hit past that 100 HP of Cetotl, KOing it. But, you know, using the heavy baton still, since Jellicent, I believe, is just really about not attaching them, not attaching tools from your hand. So if they're already there, they're already there. Then we got 1 prize for that, but we have our Cetotl on the bench all powered up, thanks to that, and we can go ahead and move it up into the active spot. Now, as we can see on our draw, we can go ahead with an Iono. Still haven't taken prize cards on the Cetitan side, which is unfortunate, and only 3 prizes left on the other, and we're going to be able to draw 3 there, and hope that disruption was helpful. Now, on this side, we can go ahead with Revavroom finally, and we can go ahead with Cetitan finally, and we have energy in hand we can attach to get the attack off. We can actually KO this Jellicent, because we're doing 140 and then discarding the stadium to do another 140, and Jellicent only has 270, I believe, so we're doing 280 and we get the 2 prizes. That's good to see. Now, the response, though. What can we do here? Cetitan's huge, alright? And our Jellicent's only hitting for 160, but our Zoroark using Ignition Energy can hit hard, but we don't have access to a Stadium card to get an additional 140 damage off, and not KOing anyway, but, you know, yeah, Ignition Energy is there. Some other energies, like Psychic Energy, is there. We also might prioritize putting Psychic Energy. That one got a heads on that Crushing Hammer, so we can go ahead and discard that. But we might want to prioritize putting an energy onto Jellicent so we can actually use it next turn or something. But no, just going with the move and discarding the Ignition Energy and only doing 140 because there is no stadium, but we can still utilize that, and that is fun. But on the other side, we already had the jet energy in hand as well, so we have some options, and we can definitely try and go after some stuff. We can try and go after the Jellicent and stuff, potentially. Here's Artisan going down, another stadium. Here's the boss. Boss can bring up the Jellicent. We can KO this beast like we did last time with discarding the stadium as well. Now, here's the attachment, a water energy, actually. We go ahead and do that. So we can go ahead and discard the stadium. We get 2 more prize cards. Just like that, Cetitan is up, down to 2 prize cards left. And on the other side, there is only 2 Zoroark and a Frillish. Not ideal, but the Valbelez, Cetitan, its French name, Valbelez over there is weak. He's weak. You can see the clown supporter card in my hand. What a card. Deciding to use Charon. Charon's probably good. There's Jellicent. And that we need to we're running out of ignition energy too, That's a real thing, of course. You can only play 4 in the deck. But here we go, going with its first attack, I think, doing 90 damage, because we're doing, for 3 bench Pokemon, 369, 90 damage. The Cetitan is very heavily damaged. But it's still there. Can we get a boss in a stadium? We have the boss. But I don't believe we have a way to get a stadium, and so that's unfortunate. Our Chorus is not here. There is boss, but there is no stadium to be had, and it would have been so easy to, if you have another stadium, to go ahead with the boss, and then just boss up the Jellicent EX and discard a stadium while doing the full damage, but that option was not available. Instead, we're looking at, there's no way to find a stadium. We're going to go ahead with, here is the boss though, going down with getting the Jellicent up in the active spot. Now, so in the end, just deciding to go ahead and putting some damage, 140 damage onto Jellicent. I think I was running out of the little bead counters. I love those things, but you can see there's so many on Cetitan, but we did 140 damage onto there, and then on the other side, we can get there with the 2 psychic energy, but we don't have another psychic energy already on our guy. So which means, we can't do a 160 attack. We can't do the 80 attack because we can't attach double times, and we need to have 1 psychic for the attack at least. The problem being ignition energy not counting, it's just colorless. So we're going to have to shake up the game plan by utilizing a switch and getting another attacker into the active spot, and that is going to be Zoroark. Zoroark with its 1 energy attached, and we can finally get that 1 psychic energy attached for turn onto there, and then go ahead and KO the Cetitan using its first move, doing another 90, and that's enough to do it. And we get 2 prize cards. Only 1 remains for the Zoroark Jellicent concoction. On the other side, what can we do? Not our options are kind of rough. We have Frigivax in the active. All right, here's Arvin for what? Not too much, but you can see the power here of Jellicent and Zoroark. And you can also hopefully see, and hopefully this illustrates the importance as well, also using, getting your psychic energy down first as well to use the attack if you want to use ignition energy as well with our Jellicent, because if you're not running Jellicent in a Gardevoir deck, you're going to have to consider ways to get that extra energy onto that thing, you know what I mean? To get that 160 damage if you're looking for it. 80 damage is still good. On the other side, we can get Cetotl out. We can go ahead and switch, putting Cetotl up there, hoping that we can go ahead and get more cards with Revavroom. You discard an energy card and draw until you have 6 in hand, and that was a full draw for 6. Can go ahead with an attachment there and just leaving Cetotl there, hoping that it's not enough to get it, because the 3 bench Pokemon with Zoroark's attack only does 90, not enough to KO the Cetotl. Cetotl gets left in there, hoping it's enough to be bulky, but we have the ignition energy. We can go ahead and just swap out the Zoroark, discarding energy to retreat, and then moving the Jellicent up and attaching ignition energy, doing that for the last prize card, and ba-bam, you saw it, we win. It's a winning list. Thank you so much for watching. I super appreciate it. If you enjoy TCG content, I implore you to stick around, subscribe for more. I also did a recent video sharing a spreadsheet you can even use if you're wanting to track your championship points for the TCG season this year. But aside from that, there will be more videos to come as well, and I hope you enjoy them. Hop in the Discord if you want some community as well, and we can all kind of enjoy the hobby together. All right, anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye!